Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the TP&I podcast. Or if you're joining us for the first time, welcome to the channel. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and turn notifications on so you don't miss any of our videos. For those who have been with us before, you will know we have been conducting a little mini-series here on the channel called Challenging Poverty Interviews. Today is our final episode in the series, and we are joined by the lovely Marion, who is actually one of 4 principal officers in Aberdeenshire Council's Passenger Transport Unit. Welcome to the podcast, Marion.
Thanks, Tamara. Thanks for having me.
We'll start off simple here with our first question. Could you start by telling us about your role and what that involves?
Yes, certainly. So the unit deals with public bus services, bus service publicity, bus stops and shelters, Ellen Park and Ride, and also school transport. And my team is responsible for coordinating ATB dial-a-bus services, and we grant fund some community transport providers. We also run an advice helpline called Think for people who struggle to get to health-related appointments, and we deal with bus fares and ticketing.
Sounds like a very busy role.
Yes, it can be.
Okay, so next we're moving on to our public submission section. We collected questions from our lived experience members and from the young people of Aberdeenshire, all regarding transport, of course. So I'm just going to jump right in here, starting with lived experience. Lived experience members have expressed concern that Aberdeenshire Council isn't really being viewed as a local authority that supports the use of public transport, particularly in regards to buses. This is due to the recent cuts to bus routes across the more rural villages of Aberdeenshire, which saw some completely cut off from buses altogether, and others with a very limited number of buses going through their village. One member states that in their village there is only a bus 4 times a day, and not only that, but when wanting to travel to the city, they have to do a changeover in a nearby town that sees them waiting up to 45 minutes for that changeover. Add that to travel time of the journey itself, and this member could see themselves spending approximately 6 hours just on travel time alone. Can you talk a bit about Aberdeenshire Council's involvement in these bus route cuts, if any?
So currently, the council spends approximately 2.789 million per annum on supporting bus services across Aberdeenshire, and that includes timetabled services and also the ATB dial-a-bus services.
Yeah.
The budget for supporting bus services is used to pay for bus journeys that are not profit making, and so they're not viable for the bus operators like Stagecoach to run commercially. Unfortunately, due to general budget pressures faced by the council, the bus service budget was reduced in financial year 2023-24, meaning that some council supported journeys had to be withdrawn in June of 2023. If we do need to review whether to provide supported services because of budget restrictions, we withdraw the journeys that are performing the poorest, and that's to try to minimise the impact on the local communities.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, because of the geographic size of Aberdeenshire and the amount of funding that we have available, it's not possible to provide bus services for every area or to meet all the needs that are out there. I would like to mention that as well as paying for bus services, the council has budgets for providing bus stops and bus shelters and for providing information on bus times as well.
Thanks for that, Marion. I'm sure that will help clarify a few things. There's been a lot of buzz online lately about Stagecoach and how involved Aberdeenshire Council are with them and what's going on with them. So I think this will help to kind of clarify for the public what's been going on there. Moving on to our next question, which was submitted by a young person. They stated that bus journeys can be extremely time consuming, as we've heard in our previous question. He has access to trains in his area, so he opts to ride the railway over taking the bus due to convenience of journey time, which is approximately about 20 minutes, so a big difference from our previous statement. In light of hearing this statement, just in your personal opinion, do you feel Aberdeenshire will see a future where railways are more accessible in most, if not all, areas of the county?
I would agree that in some cases the railway is a better option than bus
Mm,
services, but the council isn't directly involved in the railway lines or the train services.
yeah.
Nestrans, who are the regional transport partnership covering Aberdeenshire and Aberdeen, is commissioning studies on rail, including the possibility of reopening the Buchan railway line. But
Yeah.
personally, I think it's unlikely that this will happen. Nestrons are also exploring whether a new station could be opened at Newton Hill,
Mhm.
but this would take quite a few years to happen if it was to
Yeah,
go ahead.
of course. A direct answer, one I'm sure some will be disappointed to hear. However, again, I think the clarification of the council's involvement on this topic is really important. Um, Next, I have a couple of questions surrounding your team's roles and just the council's general support when it comes to transport. We noticed towards the end of last year, the council partnered with Stagecoach to hold the Aberdeenshire Online Bus Forum event on the 7th of December. Can you tell us about the event and how it went, and were any of the issues that we've discussed today brought up at that event?
Yes, so for over 20 years, the council has held in-person bus forum meetings in the six Aberdeenshire Council administrative areas to
Mhm.
seek views on bus services. These meetings were attended by council officials and Stagecoach, and they were held in schools or halls approximately 6 monthly. But we decided it was time to review the way the forums were run. We were
Yeah.
trying to encourage new people to attend and also reduce the amount of time and travel involved.
Mhm.
So we trialed the online bus forum meeting that you mentioned in December,
Yeah.
and this initial event covered the whole of Aberdeenshire. So we were encouraged by the level of interest we had. There were around 90 people attending. So that ranged from councillors, bus users, of course, community councillors, and representatives of various groups. We received over 200 questions and comments about bus
Wow.
services and bus operators. These were raised prior to the event because we give people the option to do this and also during the event. So
Yeah.
the meeting was recorded and there's a video which was posted onto the council website along
Okay.
with a list of all the questions that were asked and the answers that we've provided. So if anyone is interested in finding out what was asked, they can go on to the council's website and search for bus forum.
Okay, that's great. I actually wasn't aware that that was available, so I'll be sure to link that somewhere when this video goes out so people can find it easily. Um, and our final question, I'm aware part of the council's role is administering the Grasshopper Ticket Initiative. This isn't something that I had personally heard of until preparing for our chat here today. So for those who are maybe the same as me, could you tell us about this initiative and what it is?
Certainly, Grasshopper's the name of day and weekly tickets that can be used on buses across Aberdeen and Aberdeenshire. They're really aimed at people who are travelling into Aberdeen. So usually somebody travelling on a stagecoach bus, and then once they get into Aberdeen, connecting onto a first bus in the city. And the
Right.
cost of the ticket is cheaper than buying two separate day or weekly tickets from the different bus operators. So it's more useful for people coming from Aberdeenshire into Aberdeen rather than travelling within Aberdeenshire itself. And you can find out further information at www.grasshopperpass.com.
Well, that's actually really interesting, and thanks for that link. I know it will come in handy to some of our viewers. There's definitely a lot of people that travel into the city from Aberdeenshire, so I definitely think that will come in handy to a lot of people. Um, I think that's actually all I have for us today. So I just want to say a massive thank you to you for taking the time to be here with us, and I appreciate how direct you've been in your answers as well. I think it'll really help to clarify a few things, like I said. Um, as for those watching at home, we hope you enjoyed this video, and I know I particularly enjoyed this one. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, and if you haven't already seen the previous videos in the series, be sure to check those out too. Goodbye to all of you, and goodbye to you, Marion.
That's tomorrow. Bye.
No worries. Bye-bye. Thank you.